So,
do you need your recorder?
sorry?
Do you need your recorder? Do you need to record with the phone or no?
I will just turn it on. I just forgot. So it's recording now.
Okay. Push first. Okay.
So good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Hi.
Can I just repeat what you told me before?
Yeah. My name is Mitya Underwood and I am a senior features writer at the National newspaper in Abu Dhabi. I moved to the UAE 6 years ago, almost 6 years ago, to work at the National. I studied communication studies at Sheffield Hallam University, and then I worked at a newspaper in Newcastle in England prior to moving here. The Evening Chronicle.
So, in what aspect does communication at the workplace in UAE differ from your home country?
I think it's just what happened to me. I think there are things that one has to be careful of. I think there's different. It depends if you're communicating with someone strictly in a business fashion.
Yeah, I'm strictly
purely professional.
Purely business, just at the workplace.
Yeah, I don't think there are that many differences.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you're doing any kind of business transaction, be it you're a journalist or you're a banker, or you have something you need to achieve and the other person, you know, has something they need to achieve, and as long as you agree on that. But I think there are definitely cultural things that come into play, such as, I think within the UAE culture, there's a big, everyone wants to please. It's very hospitable, it's very, nobody wants to say no. So, you know, for me, if I'm asking someone to call me back, for example, they may not want to tell me that they can't call me back. So messages sometimes get a bit lost in translation.
Again, like?
They may say, I'll see you tomorrow, inshallah. And to me, that thinks that's 100%, I'm seeing you tomorrow, definitely.
Okay. For them, it's like...
For them, it's like, I'll maybe see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
So there are certain things that
Uncertainty.
Yeah, there are just ways, because I think it's because the UAE culture is so hospitable and is so welcoming, they don't want to say no to anything.
And
So
even if they are busy with something else and they can't meet you tomorrow, they will just say, inshallah.
Yeah, because they don't want to say, I can't do
I
it tomorrow.
can't do it, yeah.
No. So things like that.
And that will interfere
sometimes
your schedule and your time.
Yeah, things like that sometimes can get a little bit, and they may say, you know, I'll call you back in 5 minutes, and they don't mean 5 minutes.
And that 5 minutes will get extended.
Yeah, whereas, you know, I'm English, we are big timekeepers. You know, 5 minutes to me means 5 minutes. 5 minutes here means maybe 5 minutes to an hour. So there are things like that that aren't huge problems, but one needs to learn that, you know, one needs to just learn those sort of phrases that people use or ways of speaking to make sure that the message isn't getting lost in translation, because that's when problems arise. You know, you may feel that someone has let you down because they haven't called you, but in their mind, they didn't need, you know, they weren't expected to call you for another hour, so you just need to check that what you think somebody has said or what you think someone means is actually what they mean. That was a terrible answer.
Yes, it's fine. And what was your opinion about Emirati people and the kinds of business before you came to UAE?
Well, for me, 6 years ago, I knew very little about Emiratis. I was fortunate in that, as I said, my mother worked here, so I had visited a few times and I had met a few Emiratis, nothing professional though. It was purely, meeting in sort of casual situations. But 6 years ago, certainly there was very little. I knew very, very little about people. I didn't know how they operated in business. I didn't know how they operated socially. I think now people probably have what they think is a better idea, because Abu Dhabi is much more high profile. People see Abu Dhabi on the television and they see Emiratis buying football clubs, and they see Abu Dhabi hosting the Grand Prix, and I think people moving over here today may think that they know about the Emiratis, but actually, again, they would. My advice is they need to be very careful, because the message that is seen elsewhere can be very different to what actually exists here. Whereas I didn't have that problem 6 years ago, because I didn't know anything, so it was completely new to me.
Mm-hmm. So you think it changed 6 years ago, and
For other people,
yeah,
I think people elsewhere probably have more preconceived ideas about Emiratis. They see the court stories that appear in the newspapers everywhere. They see successful big concerts on the television. So I think people now think, and I'm using that word carefully, I don't think they have a better idea about Emiratis. I think they have a better idea about Emiratis.
but it's actually not.
I don't think so. I don't think the Grand Prix
Especially at work.
reflects the country.
With
Exactly.
day-to-day communication.
Yeah, it's very different. There's a big difference between a culture that shows itself off by hosting a big event, and there's a big difference between a culture that shows itself off hosting a big event and a culture that's actually quite private and quite reserved.